This is a brand new offering that just came out. It's the 791 Range Elite. You have aluminum scales and the Magnacut blade. This knife features an access style lock and can be flipped open and closed just by manipulating the lock bar. Now, one thing that is different on this knife than other access locks is you can pull the lock just from one side. Most other access locks you have to pull from both sides or the bar gets bound up. So there's just one side using my thumb to open and close. That is a really nice feature. Now this knife has a 3 3/8 inch drop point blade. It's 0.09 inches thick and it's run at a hardness of 62 to 64 HRC. And of course the blade is Magnacut. The knife weighs 3.6 ounces. It has a deep carry pocket clip, which is a little bit unique. It screws onto the back side of the knife. So you have no lip on the clip or screws to get in the way of this thing going in your pocket. This knife did have a few problems right from the factory, and I was considering sending it back. The first problem is the centering was way off. I have it pretty good right now. I decided, all right, I'm going to try and fix it myself before I send the knife back. Now, this was a little harder to fix than most knives. That is because it doesn't actually have a backspacer. The scales are one piece and just screwed together here. When you have a backspacer in here, you have an extra surface that allows for things to slip. So you can bend the scale slightly and retighten the screws, and it'll hold that offset. But on this style, and the fact that they're aluminum, it was pretty difficult, and it took me about half a dozen different attempts before I finally got it right. I have seen a few other reviews of this knife where the blade was also off-center. It came off-centered all the way to that side. The blade was practically rubbing the scale on this side. Jersey Knife Guy just did a review of one of these knives, and his looks about like mine. Actually, his might be a little bit better. Mine, I think, was a little worse than his. The second problem that this knife had was lock stick. As you can see, it has cleared up pretty much. There's really no lock stick anymore. Now if I flick it open really hard, there, it's stuck. But even that I expect will go away and clear up over time. The third issue that I had with this knife is just how thick it is behind the edge. You can see how wide this edge bevel is. And just feeling it, that is pretty thick. Now by comparison, let's look at this Tactile Knife Company Maverick. Comparatively, you can see how thin that edge bevel is. And just feeling it, it's literally half the thickness or less behind the edge. Now, one of the things that Magnacut is good at is taking and holding a very thin edge without damage. So if you're going to make a knife in Magnacut, you don't need to have this super thick, heavy-duty edge. Magnacut itself is tough enough to handle a thin edge. So I would like to see these blades thinned out a little bit, and that's something that I may do myself. I really do like the design of this pocket clip, how it's screwed onto the back of the knife, and you don't have anything in your way of this thing sliding over the lip of your pocket. Now on this Tactile, you can see it screws in back here on two standoffs. So again, on this knife, you don't have anything in the way of it sliding into your pocket. So that's something that's kind of unique about these two knives, that they have an advantage over others. But the Buck does it even better because that is completely 100% deep carry. These two knives are a very similar size to each other. This is more of a drop point, and this knife is a lot less pronounced drop point. It stays straighter up top. This does have more grip. The aluminum here can be a little smooth and a little bit slippery at times, but not too bad. It's not that super smooth aluminum. It does have a little bit of grip to it. Let's compare this with a couple of other knives. Here's a Buck 112, and you can see it's definitely bigger than the Buck 112. And the Buck 110. You can see it's about dead right in the middle of these two. So it is an excellent size for an EDC knife. I've been carrying this knife for about a week now, and I've done quite a bit of cutting with it. It hasn't needed to be touched up at all yet. It's still holding a really good, it's a very sticky edge from the factory. Do a little bit of a cardboard test. Slices through pretty nicely. Not much resistance. You just want to get a feel for how slicey the knife is. And just give it a little bit more wear. I've been carrying this knife for the better part of a week now. I haven't touched the factory edge. I haven't even stropped it. I haven't done anything to it. And this isn't the first time it's dealt with cardboard. So the knife is pretty good. It's fairly fidgetable. You can work the crossbar style lock with one finger, which is nice. That is something that is quite rare. All of these style locks you have to pull from both sides. If you try and pull it from one side, the knife doesn't open. This one works smooth. Very nice knife. It'll get the job done. I thought these scales were going to be very slippery, but in use they've proven to have a decent amount of traction. They're not that perfectly smooth. They're that anodization, it's almost a little bit chalky. It's got just that little bit of extra resistance rather than being smooth and really slick. So overall, I really do like this knife. It is a good knife. Few minor problems that I didn't expect at this price point. I thought Buck would have it a little bit more fine-tuned than what they did. The action is nice. They have a really good implementation of the crossbar lock. It's a perfect size EDC knife. That's my review for now after a week of carry. I'll let you know as time goes on if my opinion of the knife changes.